Hey, good afternoon, everybody. It's DJ. Alright, so today we do have a safety training. It's on workplace violence, but also stranger on campus. So I've condensed it a little bit so it won't take quite as long. Apologize for all the ums. So I'm going to go over what do we do if there is a stranger on campus. Somebody you don't know, never seen them before, and I don't know. But you're not sure what to do. So, first you should tell your staff. That's what you should do. Hey, DJ, there's this person. I don't know who that is. And maybe the staff knows who they are, and they can be like, oh, well, that's so-and-so. Or, I've seen them before. They drop somebody off here, or, things like that go on. So, that, and it can be cleared up that way. But still recognize that you don't know who it is. And I always appreciate you saying, hey, I don't know who that person is. Because it could be something different. It could be somebody you don't know. And then what do we do? Oh, then it's my job. And if I'm not there, for whatever reason, if I say I was in the restroom or something like that, you would definitely want to tell the front office. Tell Spring, tell Lonnie if Spring's not in. But you want to tell somebody in the front office. And let them know that, hey, so this is going on. And they'll come out, and then they might be the ones to know. But first you should tell your staff. And then if they're not there for some reason, then you want to tell the front office or another staff. And then what we would do if we didn't know, then we let the front office know. So that's what you do if there's a stranger on campus, somebody you don't know. Now, when it comes to workplace violence, what we have to go over is an active shooter. So say we were taking a cooking class, something like that, and you heard gunshots. And the way you would know is for a lot of the times, gunshots, they don't sound like firecrackers, because it's not like bop, 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 It would be very controlled, like bop, 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 and it would not be happening all in succession. So what you would want to do is first, if you're inside, you're going to want to close all the windows, lock the doors, barricade the doors, so that the person can't get in. And that's if you can't, but you want to get away from the sound of the gunshots as soon as possible. So there are certain steps that you want to do, and before any of this, what you should always be ready for. Be aware of your environment and any possible changes to the environment. Take note of the nearest exits in any facility you visit. So always know how to get out. I mean, in this room there's a certain amount, and also I know which way's out. And it's also good to know which windows open and which windows don't open. If you're in an office, stay there and secure the door. And you'd want to turn the lights off. You'd also want to take your phone and put it on silent. This way, if say somebody decides to call you, you're not alerting yeah, I'm right over here. And the reason you shut the lights off and everything like that is you just want them to think, okay, well, there's nobody in that room, so I don't need to go in that room. And stay as quiet as possible. Don't call the police necessarily. Well, let's keep going over this. Maybe they'll contradict me. But I think what I remember is, and I will keep going over this, is that you don't because you could be hurt. You just want to pretend that you're not there. And you want the situation to end itself, especially when it's an active shooter. Somebody's going to call the police, but you don't always know that. But if the gunshots stop and you hear somebody walking up and down the hall, that is the wrong time to call the police. That's why you want to kind of stay quiet. and attempt to take the active shooter down as a last resort. So, an active shooter is an individual actively engaging in killing or attempting to kill people in a confined and populated area, typically through the use of firearms. Characteristics of an active shooter situation: victims are selected at random. The event is unpredictable and evolves quickly. And law enforcement is usually required to end an active shooter situation. Because typically. So, when an active shooter is in your vicinity, so near you, first thing you should do is run. Have an escape route and plan in mind. Leave your belongings behind. Keep your hands visible. I don't have anything. Fingers spread. 2. Hide. Hide in an area out of the shooter's view. Block entry to your building place and lock the doors. And silence cell phone and or pager. So I already went over that. And 3, as a last resort, and only when your life is in imminent danger, that means you're really deep in it. Like if a shark's attacking you, you want to fight the shark. Same with an active shooter. You're in imminent danger, but it's better to fight and be like, get off of me. Attempt to incapacitate the shooter. Act with physical aggression and throw items at the active shooter. So, now be ready to do anything. Get chairs, anything. I mean, there's all sorts of things in rooms that you could use to incapacitate somebody. And the more people, the better. So if there's a bunch of people in the room and that's what happens and everyone's in imminent danger, there's different methods. There's the one person goes from below, one person goes from high, and then you take the person down, get rid of their weapon, and you smother that person. But you just have to be prepared for anything. And this is what happens, though, after the situation, when law enforcement arrives, which will happen. Remain calm and follow their instructions. Put down any items in your hands, bags, jackets, or anything. You don't want anything in your hands. And you want them to see your hands. I don't have anything. Because there could be more than one active shooter. Raise hands, spread fingers. Keep hands visible at all times. Avoid quick movement towards officers, such as holding onto them for safety. So you just want to stand back and be like, hey, I'm not a threat. Avoid pointing, screaming, or yelling as much as possible. But if you can, just avoid it. I know it might be a frightening situation and that would happen, but you need to try to avoid it. Do not stop to ask officers for help or direction when evacuating. They have a plan. That much I know. They have to go over these scenarios all the time. And information you should provide the law enforcement or 911 operator. So if you do get a call, and it says, at the very end of the last one it says, so it's run, hide, fight, and call 911 when it is safe to do so. Like I said, not when they're still on campus. We want the location of the active shooters, the number of shooters, like I said, could be more than one, physical description of shooters, number and type of weapons held by shooters if you've seen them, and number of potential victims at the location. So make a guesstimate of how many people you think might be in the building all at one time. Staff should be very good at this. Like I said, it's a guesstimate. But I know usually how many people are in the office. I know how many people are in each program, depending on if they're all here. Okay. So we're going to go over a quiz. It shouldn't take very long. But these are good things to know. So, active shooter and workplace violence. Please provide answers to the following to show how well you understand the information presented during what I just said. And I didn't give you a ton of information. So this is more information. So it's less of a test, more additional information as well. Number 1, it is not always possible to predict when someone is going to become violent. Is that true or false? Well, that is most definitely true. There's no way to predict that. You don't know what's going on inside of somebody else. They could look nice and calm, like I look right now, and suddenly things can change. Because you don't know what everybody's going through at home. You don't know what's happened during their day. All of that stuff is under the surface. So, anyway. So, number 2, workers who are susceptible to violence often talk about A, problems at home, B, firearms, C, violent crime, or D, all of the above. Well, the answer is all of the above. Those are little clues as to maybe somebody's not in the best place. And that is something that we should always let your supervisor know, let your staff know, and they should let the supervisor know. Say, I'm a little worried about such and such. Maybe we should get them some help. Number 3, you should not report indicators of violent behavior if you don't want to get involved or if you are reluctant to report a coworker to management. Is that true or false? That you should not, like I said. So these indicators are here that you shouldn't report them. Well, that would be false. Yep. We're in a way mandated reporters. I know I'm a mandated reporter. Anybody's threatening violence or anything like that, I'm mandated to report it. And so are you. Because it's helping save lives. Number 4. How many feet should you try to keep between yourself and a person displaying violent behavior? A, 2 feet, B, 3 feet, C, 5 feet. Really, there should be a D option, but there's only 3. But of course, the answer is C. The more distance, the better. So I'd say 6 or more feet, because I've already covered 5 feet. So 6 feet or more, like I want to be far away. But the answer is C. 5. When confronted with an active shooter, you should leave your personal belongings behind and alert others to the danger as you exit. Yes, your backpack doesn't matter. Your phone doesn't matter. Hope that it'll be back, but all this stuff can be gotten again in time. Number 6, if you see an active shooter, you should sound a fire alarm to alert others of danger. What should you? So if you see an active shooter, you should. And the answer to that is false. It's true or false? No. You might just frighten them even more. They might start shooting even more. The best thing is to stay quiet. Just pretend that, like I said, lights off, windows closed, doors barricaded. Make it difficult for them to get in. So, number 7. If you and coworkers decide to hide from an active shooter, it's better to spread out than to huddle together. Is that true or false? Well, this one says it's true. I don't know. I think there's almost strength in numbers, but I can also understand that if you're all huddled together, then that's a much easier target. Whereas people loose running around or in different places, you can find a hiding place, something like that, and be harder to find than if you're all together. So that makes sense. 8, fighting back against an active shooter is your last resort and attempt to survive the situation. That is, of course, true. And number 9, what should you do when you first notice law enforcement on the scene of an active shooter? A, ask for help. B, raise your hands and spread your fingers. Or C, point toward the area where you last saw the shooter. Well, they said don't point. And not to ask for help. That was part of the whole thing here. So the answer is B, raise your hands and spread your fingers. I don't have anything. They'll direct you. They say, okay, so you don't. Do you know where they are? And you even ask, can I point? They're over there. So this has been our safety training for today. And when it comes to stuff like this, I do highly encourage you to ask me questions. Anything like that, anything that you might be a little worried about, which there's a bit to be worried about when it comes to stuff like this, but anything that you might be confused about, that you want to know more about, please ask me. Please, please, please. I can get any information that you need. There's also some videos if you would like to watch them. Let me know. Just either WhatsApp me or text me privately, and I will get that video to you somehow. But I'll figure it out. Anyway, hope you all have a great day and stay safe out there. Seriously.